dickhead.
Welcome back to Bloody Idiot of the Week. I'm your idiot host, Dave Donovan. Now, it's been a while since we caught up with the epidemic of idiocy sweeping the nation, so let's be like the Lone Ranger and once again gallop off towards the border between crass stupidity and utter incomprehensible insanity.
Everyone, go across the border. Cross over. They cannot arrest all of us.
Hi-ho, Dilver, and away! Now, first up, but far from not least, is New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian. Gold standard Gladys has been constantly in the headlines lately for all the dumb reasons. You know, complete incompetence, fueling the pandemic, saying dumb shit, and so on and so on and so on.
How many cases a day is it going to take?
Look, we rely on the advice of our health experts. We know that our lockdown is extremely harsh and extremely strict. And we appreciate the pressure that so many families are on because of the lockdown. The vast majority of people are doing the right thing. But what concerns us... Can you just let me finish the answer, please?
So, let's just agree that it's not really her fault. It's the people who elected her. New South Wales people. Oh, but can't the nasty pasties everywhere stop comparing New South Wales to other states? Glad would never do that.
Can I say that I'll leave other premiers to comment on their own states. I'll comment on New South Wales, but I fear for Victoria and I worry about what their government may do. I think everybody's on tenterhooks as to whether there will be a third wave and how well Victoria will cope with that. And this is even without having the quarantine system in place that we have. Well, other states have chosen to close their borders very quickly. They've chosen to have lockdowns for prolonged periods very quickly, and that's a matter for them. I don't want a situation in New South Wales that exists in other states where there's a lack of certainty, things are done very quickly, without perhaps the same kind of consideration we give in New South Wales, and that's a matter for other state leaders. Now, every state might have a different way of getting to zero community transmission, and that's a matter for them. But I don't believe keeping your borders closed and inflicting pain and suffering on thousands of people is the way to go. But what's been demonstrated to me is that other states are moving very quickly to shut down their entire economies when they have a couple of cases. Now, in that situation, I don't agree with that position. What's been demonstrated to me is that every state has a different approach to dealing with COVID. And I don't want to see us change the way we're doing things in New South Wales. The Victorian government waited far longer than we did to go into the lockdown situation. But in Victoria, they still don't have a statewide system for QR codes. They don't. No, they don't. It's not consistent. I think they announced it only on Thursday. We've had our system in place for months and months.
In the words of Kamal, why are people so unkind?
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Emergency. Why won't you tighten restrictions, Premier? If it's a national emergency.
Yes, Goldilocks Gladdy is all class.
Remember how you wanted to win government? Remember how you were going to win government? Anyway.
Almost as classy as Matt Colavan, who thinks the P in IPCC stands for porno. Ooh-ah!
And it's, I think, of great shame. It's very sad that the IPCC, who once did very, very good work, and I do agree with their overall findings on climate change, but now it has descended into something that's much more like spin. Why would a scientist want to change people's vote? I mean, you saw the spin over the past week as they drip-fed the fear porn about this.
Yes, Rash Canistan says it's futile for us to do anything much about climate change because, you know, China.
In my view, that action is quite futile now because China's not doing anything. And this is the reason why we shouldn't sign up to more reductions, because it would just be a free kick to China right now.
But forget China. Why do anything unless the Taliban is committed to net zero? Makes perfect sense.
Does anyone know whether the Taliban will sign up to net zero?
In the wingnut world of mad Taliban, it all makes perfect carbon strengthened nonsense. Of course, this is not to say that Mad Matt is always wrong.
Scott Morrison's the worst Prime Minister ever.
Which brings us neatly back to those two outstanding humanitarians, Scott More of the Same, Morrison, and Peter El Diablo Dutton, and their rescue efforts for Australians currently stranded in Afghanistan. You'll be pleased to learn that out of the thousands who risked their lives by helping our troops in the field during the long, epic Afghanistan conflict, a whole 26 Afghan ADF support staff have so far been rescued by our government. That's with an aircraft having 128 seat capacity. We're talking about people who even wore our uniforms and daily risked the wrath of the Taliban. Ha! Likely story, says the dastardly Dutton.
The C-130 has a range of people that they can take on board. In terms of those that they can safely accommodate, it's within that range. That's the first point. So it's not a C-17 where you might have the ability for several hundred people. In extremis, as we saw with the C-17 Globemaster in the United States, they had over 600 people. So we had obviously limitations on how people can get to the airport, and it's a very difficult situation on the ground. It's not like turning up to a normal airport where people can come and go freely.
We've done enough, says PWD.
But the point that needs to be recognised here is that Australia has done probably most than almost any other country, more than almost any other country in the world, in terms of the number of locally engaged employees and their family members that we've brought to our country.
That's right, we have done more than any other country in the world to keep people out, as No-Go Morrison points out.
And I have a very clear message on this. We will only be resettling people through our official humanitarian program going through official channels. We will not be offering a pathway to permanent residency or citizenship. We will not be allowing people to enter Australia illegally, even at this time. Our policy has not changed. We will be supporting Afghans who have legitimate claims through our official and legitimate processes. We will not be providing that pathway to those who would seek to come any other way.
So that's against the rules, and you can't sit with us. Whatever. Those rules aren't real. You can't sit with us!
Yes, this so-called government is doing everything it can to keep corning those turners.
Today, a big turner a big corner turned, I should say. It's been a long day, it's been a long week.
Morrison and Dutton, you two can share and hopefully fight to the death over this week's prize of Bloody Idiot of the Week. You knuckleheads! And that's it for another week. Please subscribe, like, share and engage below. And remember, wear a mask. What are you doing here? The video's finished. Oh, you wanna subscribe or donate to Independent Australia? Well, you can do that here. This is how you subscribe. And if you want to donate, then the more zeros the better. This is the way you do that. Catch you later. That's it.